thank you very much. I probably should say hello a doodle do. That'll become apparent in a bit. To our exhibition, our second temporary exhibition, packed every night, the story of an eccentric comedian, T.E. Dunville. There's a few bits and pieces we've got to go through first. It's not that long, so I'll get on with it. Things are going well at the museum. We're still #1 on TripAdvisor. Had over 1,200 guests. Is that right, isn't it, Jude? Yep.
1,300 guests.
Oh, right, okay. From all over.
Yes.
We're living the dream at the moment. It's all very good. It's going really well, really well. And of course, we've got some more ideas to put into place yet. Finance permitting, but some of that finance has come along, so that's pretty cool. Huge thanks. I don't think they're here tonight. They said they were going to come. Nisa, across the road, the Ball Hill Post Office, Dilip and his team have been absolutely wonderful. They've sponsored this for tonight. So a round of applause for them, even though they're not here. Thanks to Julie, of course, who's always there sorting stuff out. To Bernie Holden, who did our wallpapering in here. Our up-to-date wallpapering. Habitat rules. No, it wasn't Habitat. Then we have our film. Simon Shaw, I know everybody moves away then, that's what you don't want to do. Simon put all this together, absolutely wonderful, wonderful stuff. You'll see it later on, and please accept the fact it's supposed to look like old and look like that, with jump cuts and things like that, and the voice, so that's how it's supposed to look, thank you. And of course, couldn't do it without our main man, T. Dunville, Richard Coad, ladies and gentlemen, what a star. Proud. Wow, improv. Good job I'm not doing that. But yeah, do you want to plug Wow Improv?
Oh, well, I can do if you wish.
Do a plug.
Myself and Sarah over here are part of an improv troupe. We do a monthly gig in Esquire's Coffee House.
And it's a brilliant night. Definitely. Recommended.
And free.
Yeah.
It's completely free and worth every penny of that. So yeah.
Thank you very much, sir, for bringing our Dunville to life. To Nigel Fletcher for his voiceover, you'll hear that. Nigel's obviously from Lieutenant Pigeon. Alan Houghton, who did the music for us, came to our rescue and played the music, concert pianist, and we got the best, so thank you very much. And of course, part of the collection here is our resident, well tonight anyway, resident Dunville expert Keith Railton and his lovely wife. Thank you very much for all your help in this as well. So I will say tonight, and this is when it all goes down, that it's the 22nd of March and this is the 90th anniversary of the death of T.E. Dunville. I'm sorry to bring it down, probably not the same, but that's why we wanted to do it tonight and open it tonight, because obviously it's a very significant time. You'll see in the story that things were going great for this guy from Coventry. I won't go too much in depth, but basically, as you can see on the posters, he was earning £100 a week at his heyday, and unfortunately towards the end, when music hall became less passe, I mean of course music hall went on to the 60s, didn't it? But obviously the movies came in, and he overheard apparently somebody calling him a has-been, and then he took his life on this day 90 years ago. So on that bombshell, first of all, I've mentioned Keith. Come up here, Keith. Let's ask you a couple of questions about it, because we can find out a little bit about this guy, because I'm sure some of you here have started to learn about Dunville, some of you have no idea. A lot of people in Coventry and all over the place have never heard of this man, but as you can tell by £100 a week in the Victorian age, he was a big star. So Keith, how did you first discover T.E. Dunville?
Well, about a long time ago, about 30 odd years ago actually, I was doing some research into a book about music hall, a little book I'd produced, and I went to the British Library, and that was in the old days when it was in the beautiful round reading room that famous people. And I asked them, they used to bring you all the books that you asked for, and I got a list of books I'd never seen because they're all out of print. And I waded all through this over a period of days, and I came across this little tiny book, which is actually in the exhibition, the little blue book of Dunville's autobiography. And it's an excellent book, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It really is an excellent book, and it's full of fun, but it's also full of facts. And I got absolutely fascinated by this bloke. And I did my little booklet, and I was so pleased I put him on the cover of it. And I continued to research him on and off. And then I came across what we both came across, a brick wall, effectively, that there was no information about it. This guy, when he was, you know, as Pete said, earning 100 quid a week, £10,000 equivalent a week now, he was at the top of his game, one of the biggest stars. And it fascinated me that there was nothing written about it. There was a few bits and bobs, wasn't there? And that's about a few photographs, bits of sheet music, and that was about it. And so the biggest surprise was to learn he was born in Coventry, where I lived. So I thought, well, I'll go and look through the records here. Nothing. Nobody remembered T. Dunville, not even in London, but particularly in his home city. He was completely and utterly forgotten. And I was determined then that I was going to find out a bit more about him. So that's how it started.
So we've kind of touched upon that. What was the fascination with this man?
It's because everything I read about him made him stand out as a superstar. He was one of the biggest acts for over 35 years on the music hall stage. And you've heard people like Dan Leno probably and Mary Lloyd. He was their equivalent, wasn't he?
Absolutely.
Absolutely their equivalent. And he toured the UK, but he became so popular in London that they wouldn't let him tour. He was in work all the time, doing sometimes five halls a night, sometimes 4 songs each hall. You can imagine what that would be like. And that's what made me want to learn more about him and find out why people had not recorded any of this. And he just disappeared off the radar. And particularly, as I say, in Coventry, where they should have been saying, they should have been grubbing around. You know.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I read an article a couple of weeks ago in the Coventry Telegraph which said 30 special personality celebrities you've probably never heard of. And I had never heard of most of them. But of course, one of the biggest wasn't even mentioned at all.
No, it wasn't there again.
And then the strange thing is that I didn't know Pete at the time, of course, when I was doing this early work, but he was obviously quite fascinated by the guy. And then I started reading in the Coventry Telegraph a series of articles that Pete did. And obviously he knew more than me about some of it. And eventually we got in touch. I carried on doing the research. Pete opened this wonderful museum, and finally we got a place to put him back on stage again, and that's what should happen.
Brilliant, brilliant. And one of the things that we want to do as well with the museum, a future project, will be to have sort of steps in time or whatever, have some plaques put around Coventry, and one of them will be...
That's a blue plaque for Ted, whose house is still there, isn't it? In Lower Ford Street.
Yeah, he was actually born in New Street, but of course that's all gone now.
Pubs in New Street.
Yeah, well, the pubs all over Coventry.
Absolutely, okay, well, that pretty much concludes that part. Thank you very much, Keith. Cheers, thank you. Keith, Keith Railton. As I said, we're going to show the film in a minute. Are you I don't know why I've got to pass it to you, but you're in charge of it.
Talk about the TV.
Yeah, you should do. This is a film we've done, as I said. This is what it's supposed to look like. You lost your end of your glass, Jim. So, let's have a look at the film and then we'll open the exhibition. Please let it work. It didn't work in the week, so... Yeah, greatly. Yeah, stick it on quiet. It's coming off for a bit, yeah.